Hey guys, I want to show you your Target D notes. We are starting Target D today. It's special right triangles. Remember, this is not in the packet. And so you can find it on Teams by going to our page. And on the left-hand side, there's a trigonometry folder, and using that folder, you are able to find the notes. You will need to download your own copy. I also sent them on Remind though, so if you need those, they are there for you, or you can just write them down. But either way you get situated, we are gonna start with the top of this page. And so we're gonna go over some math skill that you may or may not have heard of before that will help us with special right triangles, and that is called rationalizing the denominator. So we are not allowed to have a radical in the denominator. And so we have to follow a couple steps to make sure that that doesn't happen. So if I'm doing this problem, I notice right away that there is a radical that's square root in my denominator, and I am not allowed to have that. It is math illegal. I cannot have a rational in the denominator. My answer can never have a square root in the bottom of my fraction. And so you're going to follow the same steps every time in order to get rid of it. So in order to rationalize the denominator, you are going to multiply both sides of your fraction, both the top and the bottom, by the issue. And the issue is the square root of 2 that's in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply both the top by square root of 2 and the bottom by square root of 2. Then I'm going to clean that up. 6 times the square root of 2, those are not like terms or anything, so I just rewrite them right next to each other. 6 times the square root of 2 is just 6 root 2. And then pay attention to this part very carefully. When you are getting rid of the denominator and you are multiplying two identical square roots by each other, those square roots cancel out. And you are just left with one of the numbers that are underneath the radical. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. I just cancel out my square roots, my square root radicals, and I keep the number that's underneath just once. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2, and you can check that in your calculator if you're not sure. And then you're here, your answer is here, but then the last step you need to do is see if the numbers outside of the radical can simplify. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that simplifies. 6 and 2 simplifies to 3, and you still have that root 2. So this answer should equal 3 times the square root of 2. Okay? The same thing is true for number 2. I'm going to follow the same exact steps. I notice that I have a radical in the denominator, and I don't want that. So I'm going to do the same thing every time. I'm going to multiply both sides of my fraction by the radical that is in the denominator. And then I clean it up. 4 times the square root of 2. Remember, those are not like terms, so I'm just going to rewrite that. And then the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Remember that those square roots are going to cancel each other out, and I'm just left with one of the 2's underneath. Now, this may look like my answer, but now I've just got to double check to make sure that my numbers outside, I got to see if they simplify. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then I still have that square root of 2. So that's my answer here. And then one more, just to let you know, it doesn't have to always simplify. So on your Go Formative, you'll have one that doesn't simplify. Leave it as a fraction though. If they don't simplify, leave it then. Don't touch. One last one I want to show you. I have this problem, and I notice I have the square root of 3 in the denominator, so I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to multiply both sides of my fraction by the square root of 3 now, because that's what's in the denominator. I'm going to multiply across. 12 times the square root of 3 is just 12 times the square root of 3. And then these radicals are going to cancel each other out. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3, the square roots cancel, and I'm just left with one of the 3's underneath. Then I double check and see if these can cancel. 12 divided by 3 is equal to, they do simplify. They simplify to 4, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then the square root of 3. So that is the top of these notes. Please watch the next video for the bottom of these notes.